Hello everyone and welcome to the ARL F1 2012 Season 6 Championship. We're back and we're at the Korean Grand Prix, the Yongam circuit today. I'm Matthew Gallagher and joining me once again in the commentary box, it's Scott Woodwith.
Thank you very much, Matthew. Hi everybody, great to be back once again. And as Matthew said, we're here in Korea, 28 laps away at the drivers across the 5.6 kilometre circuit. It's a circuit that's comprised of three different sectors. The first with long straights and big braking zones, the second more of a conventional circuit with tight and twisty sections, and then the third sector more that relevant of a street circuit. So three different circuit types in one track, certainly a lot of corners to test the drivers, and also it's been hosting venues since 2010, so it's a very modern circuit as well, but it's still one of the Togomies that hopefully today, Matty, will provide some close races.
It's going to be a great race, I'm sure. It's a very complex circuit, very challenging on the drivers, and its consistency is going to be the key round here. The Season 5 podium, Noble 299 had the most consistency and took the victory from Tyranno Tigger in second and Raven in third. He also took the pole position with a 1:35.3. Let's see what pole position was this season.
This week's comparison sees the two Mauritius of Fisi Fan 91 and ARL X360 going head to head for the Korean GP qualifying. This first sector at the start of the lap is one that contains two long straights and two first gear corners, both of which are crucial to getting a good lap time, as a lot of time can be found by getting on the power as early as possible but without breaking traction. Now on what will be the DRS activation point in the race, going up to the limiter in 7th gear and coming up to the heaviest braking point on the track, and as they go from the limiter of 7th gear all the way down to 1st gear, trying to get as close to the curb as possible without hitting it, as that will cause the rear end to step out, but both drivers navigating their way through there well and now down the second back straight and towards the end of the first sector split. The timing shows Ryan is ahead by a couple of tenths as we come into one of the trickiest sections of the track, down into 1st gear for this left-hander, quickly into 2nd on the exit before down into 1st for this 90-degree right, and keeping it in 1st as they flick the car left for another 90-degree corner. Hard on the power now, up the hill towards the very fast sweeping right and then left, as the drivers briefly close DRS through the midpoint of each of those corners, before coming down a couple of gears for this left-hander and getting the car back to the left to open up yet another 90-degree turn. Ryan still slightly ahead at this point of the lap, but running a touch wide and missing the apex slightly, which will allow Fisi to gain a bit of time on him, as they now sprint to this ever-tightening long left-hander, before sweeping through turn 12 and crossing the second sector split, which will show that drivers are almost identical at this point of the lap as they now enter the tightest and slowest sector of the track. Both drivers now doing their best to avoid the treacherous curbing while still hitting the apexes nicely, and now into the final few corners, rounding this long right-hander, getting on the DRS as early as they dare, and it'll be Fisi who comes out on top over his teammate by less than 1/10 of a second, which sees him take 4th place, with Ryan next to him on the grid in 5th.
Thank you very much once again, Harry Jackson, for that qualifying comparison. Now let's take a look at the grid for the Season 6 Korean Grand Prix. It's business as usual once again with the Toro Rossos. xMattyG taking pole position by 2/10 of a second from teammate Noble Prime tyres compared to teammate Matty on the options. Ricky C is back on form in the Caterham, P3 on the options ahead of Fisi Fan in P4 once again, also on those super soft option tyres. Ryan 83, Fisi's teammate, with his best qualifying of the season in P5, ahead of TRL MoNsTeR, not as quick as he'd like to be, but still up there in P6, the best of the rest on the Prime tyres. Then we've got SE Racing in 7th in the Williams, ahead of the two Ferraris and alternating strategies, the Continentals in P8 on the Prime tyres, and ACR Jordan 9th on the Super Softs. HyperX Callum 10th in the Force India, and Trace 92 way off the pace, 7.5 seconds off pole in the McLaren because he's racing on the pad this time. And as for F1 X360 F1 he disconnected in qualifying and therefore will start at the back of the grid after failing to set a time. 4 non-starters today, LC Speed Demon in the Caterham as he wants to watch, Amazing CZ in the Force India, Randy McScrandy in the McLaren, and Big Shot Player in the Williams. There's the grid, now let's head to the race.
It's race time. It's light cloud, it's not clear today. It's xMattyG and RapidScorpion commentating, and this very complex circuit is going to be demanding for the drivers as we come aboard with Crookie, who's in fact come in the wrong car, Scott.
He has disconnected, he rejoined, he's not got his Sauber stage in a HRT, but that won't make him as slow as HRT you might expect. But still, we're getting ready for the lights. 28 laps away at the drivers today, and we're looking to see Noble possibly take one step closer to the championship. Here they come, Maddie.
Here they come. They've had quite a long wait for the lights. We've got 5 lights now, and we are racing. On board with Fisi Fan in 4th position, getting a pretty standard start compared to Ricky C, who's looking just behind Noble. Noble getting a decent start on those prime tyres, coming through to turn 1 now, a very short run, and it looks like everyone, oh no, Jordan's gone into the side of Callum, and what's happened there? Callum, oh no, Jordan has destroyed his vehicle. Elsie speeding and retired from the race, but Jordan looks like he lost the car into Callum after being pushed wide, and unfortunately lost both of his wheels, and he is out of the race already. That is going to be crucial for his relegation fight.
Certainly is, as the cars charge down towards turn 3, and Ryan put his brakes to the rear to stop the fronts from locking, but it hasn't worked because MoNsTeR slipped past, getting himself into P6, down the back straight towards turn 4. A very tight twisty section down towards the end of sector 1. And this is now down the inside. We've got the Continents challenging Ryan for P7, so he's lost another place as Crookie in the, well, supposed to be the Sauber, of course, is the HRT because he chose the wrong car. Trying to go round the outside of SE Racing through the complex and through 6. The Williams holding on, but under traction, I think Crookie might side by side down towards this fantastic part of the course. 7 and 8, and SE Racing backs out of it as the two cars again go forwards, and we've lost Tracy, it looks like, so he's actually straight out of the race already, so the McLarens are not taking any part today. He goes no further than turn 7 as Ryan trying to dive up back up the inside of Continents, but that great qualifying for Ryan seems to be going backwards already because he's lost 2 spots and looked like he's going to lose another one.
Yeah, he's going backwards, and Crookie's had a brilliant start from last on the grid. We've now lost connection to Callum and Jordan, so both of those have decided to leave. I'm not too sure why Callum's left, because I think he survived that incident. But anyway, Crookie up into 7th place now. So he's had a brilliant start, and now Ryan's gone down to 8th and maybe even 9th now. SE looking around the outside in this last sector, but I don't think he's going to be managed to keep it. No, he's not. Ryan down into 8th place after a brilliant qualifying, starting side by side with his teammate, but his teammate Fisi Fan is down the road, nowhere to be seen in Ryan's camera angle anyway. But the battle for the lead looks like xMattyG still in the lead with Noble 299, his teammate, just behind him on the prime tyres, so that's crucial. And it looks like MoNsTeR is up into 5th place, so he's gained a position after having a very disappointing qualifying.
On board with Noble now, of course, in that championship fight he can get one step closer to taking the title if he can get a good result here today. And chasing after teammate xMattyG once again, with Ricky C holding station in 3rd. Back on form once again, as we said in the qualifying rundown. Been a little bit off the pace in the past couple of races, but he has managed to get himself back up there. Let's take a look at the start then. This is on board with Noble, straight up to Rich Mix 3 already, and trying to slot him behind teammate Matty, which he does, to cover Ricky C. And try to get his nose up the inside, but Matty swept across and held the lead. This is Tracy, his view again of the incident between Callum and Jordan. If we look here, now Jordan got onto the AstroTurf and that pushed him into Callum, and the contact just got Callum loose and that speared him straight into the Ferrari. This is up with Crookie off the start. Another view of it. Went side by side and just on the right hand side, wait for the contact, there it is. And Crookie was so close to getting involved in that one. This is Fisi Fan, the other Marussia, coming under attack from all sides. 4 cars at once, and this is Ryan losing it on the exit curb of turn get past. So Ryan falling backwards, but looks like he's about to line up Constance to get back another place.
Yeah, Ryan's going to have to get his feistiness out if he wants to start getting some decent points in his relegation battle, because he is well and truly looking at relegation at the moment. Looks like Constance may have got a little bit of a touch on his screen, but Ryan is taking his chances and trying to go around the outside now. Surely he's not going to make that stick. There's no grip out there, and there isn't. So Ryan's having to slot back into 8th place again. But Constance looks like he does not have much pace on those prime tyres. Ryan now looking around the outside again. You can't go around there, my friend. You are going to find yourself on the grass. So Ryan sensibly backing out of that, and I think he may well be looking for DRS maybe in the next lap or two to just steam past Continents, if not out of turn 1 just with the Kers. As we're now coming on board with the Toro Rosso driver xMattyG in the lead, 8 tenths ahead of his teammate Noble 299 on those prime tyres. He's just trying to bridge the gap to the other drivers, because obviously he knows Noble is on those primes and he will be catching him towards the end of the race, I'm sure. But it's going to be a 2-stop race here today, Scott, I think. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. If xMattyG can get enough of a lead, can Noble bridge that gap when he goes onto the faster compound tyres?
Well, certainly, as we watch Ryan draft past Constance with the help of DRS there, Constance may come back at him into turn 3. No, he doesn't. Ryan holds the inside line well, and he's up to P7. Next time it's going to be Crookie in. Again, what's supposed to be the Sauber, but we're going to call it the HRT anyway. But back to the tyre strategy. I think we're going to see the soft tyre runners coming roughly around lap 8. And it all depends on what they want to do. They can do 2 stints on the prime tyres, which is what Noble's on right now, who we're on board with. Mackie goes a little wide on the exit curve of turn 6, and looking back to see Ricky C is just in close proximity in P3. Or they may decide to do 2 opening stints of the soft tyres and then bolt on a set of the prime tyres to last them until the end of the race. So there's a split strategy there and some kind of windows for kind of alternate strategies that they can work with. So be intriguing to see how this plays out with some of the drivers and what they choose to go with and what they feel they're more comfortable with in terms of tyre wear. Now we're on board with Fisi Fan, that his tyres are already looking pretty yellow on the screen. That's only after 2.5 laps. So now on board with Matty, he's got this gap back just over a second, so he is out of DRS range should Noble get up to turn 3 and get any closer. If he can't, and Matty seems to have got this sorted, he can use those prime tyres for his advantage. He's got a completely clear track, so he can now push on, and Didier is going to rich mix 3. He wants to try and extend that advantage as much as possible before he has to make his stop.
Yeah, that's true. He's going to have to try and get out of the DRS. That's the main thing for him, because the straight is so long that you probably gain around 6 or 7 tenths just by purely having DRS on the car in front. So Fisi fan looks like he'll have DRS on Ricky C, and Ricky C may well have it on Noble. So Noble may well fall prey to Ricky C if he doesn't get DRS on his teammate. It looks like they're quite close actually, so maybe xMattyG made a mistake in that last sector, or maybe towards turn 1, but I think maybe Noble did get DRS, because it seems like he's not really, Ricky's not gaining anything on Noble. So it's going to be interesting to see if Matty can pull that gap, and then Ricky could really start to force something on Noble and really try and wreck his race, because Noble ideally wants to stay in second. But now, as I've just been saying, Ricky C going towards the outside now, coming towards turn 4. Noble's going to have to defend this if he wants to stay with his teammate, and he does. He's gone quite deep though. Ricky now going for the undercut. They're side by side again now, coming towards this right-hander. Is Ricky going to try and go on the inside? No! Noble's closed the door, and there's been a slight bit of contact there, but neither of them have come off for the worse.
And that was valiant driving there for Noble. He knew, as you said, he had to stay in front to try and maintain any chance of getting some decent points to go towards his championship charge. And now this has put Fisi fan right onto the back of the Caterham as they head down towards the very high-speed turn 9 for the tricky braking zone of 10. And under brakes they go through there. Pretty clean line from all of them. Fisi fan taking a chunk of curb on the inside. Hasn't slowed him too much. And now this very long sweep of 11. It's a double apex left-hander. Counts as one corner though, and through 12. And now we start to come into this street section kind of part of the circuit. This is sector 3. And they're playing to the section, so that's the reason why the walls are as close as they are. And as I said at the beginning of the show, that this circuit has 3 different circuit types as Matty hits the wall. Matty has made a huge mistake on the exit of turn 17, and this is going to put Noble into prime pouncing position to try and take the lead here, down towards turn 1. He's now got the gap to less than half a second. Matty locks up a little bit, and their lies pretty identical through turns 1 and 2. Into standard mix 2 to save some fuel, because he'll be in the slipstream, waiting for that DRS, which comes through now. Rear wing is popped open, and now we've actually got Fisi fan on Ricky, so we've got what's going on for first and third. And let's see, Fisi lining up the Caterham, going to sweep to the inside. Ricky's leaving the door completely open, waiting to see if Fisi breaks himself, and indeed he does. Sweeps across the inside, and as he goes through, and look back, oh, and that's Fisi fan's car's up in the air, so obviously he clashed the curb a little bit too much.
I've got no idea what was happening with Fisi's car there, but that's crucial for Ricky and Fisi. If they had wanted to have any chance of staying with Matty and Noble, they've now got a 2.7 second gap from Noble to Ricky, so those two have definitely lost touch with the leaders, and it's going to be interesting to see what Noble can do after Matty made that huge mistake out of the penultimate corner, and really wrecked any of his chances for really pulling away from Noble, because he was out of DRS, and Noble had no DRS to sort of stay with his teammate, especially being on the slower tyre. But now we're coming into lap 6, so this is where the option tyres are really starting to hurt, as you can see with Fisi, who has no confidence whatsoever on the power, and he really is just cruising around to try and save these tyres as well as possible. And I think Ricky pushing on a little bit harder, as you can see, pulling away from Fisi, and Fisi just upshifting very early, and just keeping the revs down, trying not to spin up those rear tyres, and Ricky spinning those rear tyres up a little bit too much, losing an end plate, and Fisi up into a podium position.
And this is a great race for Fisi. We don't see it too often here, because he has kind of like off days as he...
Oh no!
Well, I think it was Crookie trying to get through. A little too ambitious. Ricky's just shut the door completely on the exit of turn 17 as they came onto the pit straight, and Crookie almost came off worse. Here's his teammate, technically it's his teammate.
Sorry, Scott, I think that Ricky was trying to actually get into the pits, as far as I'm aware, and Crookie was trying to go past. I think because Ricky lost his end plate, he thought, right, I may as well just come in now because I'm going to lose too much time. Let's have a look at the replay now. Look, he's turning right. So he is not. That would have been awful if he was trying to block Crookie off there. But he just didn't see him and just turned straight into him, and Crookie lost a heap amount of time as Ryan loses connection once again. That is not a particularly great sight to see, but we've seen it too many times this season, haven't we, Scott?
Yeah, and that possibly could be the nail in the coffin for his relegation charges. Ricky this time manages to get into the pits and actually cuts the grass. He's in a hurry, and in fact the man who stopped him getting in the pits last time round, Crookie, follows him in. So that was done deliberately, because of course Crookie tried to get himself up the inside anyway to make a pass. But Caterham boys will go to work as he hits his spot marks now.
I think, sorry Scott, I think Ricky's going to lose a spot to Crookie here because he's had to change his wing.
And as you said, and he's got out, and in fact he has lost a spot, so effectively the Sauber driver, of course we said that today in inverted commas, has got himself up a place. That is technically a net third or fourth position for Crookie. And we'll have to see what he can do here. So we're back on board now with xMattyG race leader, expecting him to stay right and come into the pits, in which indeed he does. Noble carries on, of course, because he's on those harder prime tyres. So championship leader resumes the race lead, as Fisi also pops into the pits from P3 also.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, because I mean those tyres, the option tyres, look at the state of them. They are absolutely shredded, and it didn't look like Noble's was in particularly better shape at all. So I think we'll be seeing Noble in the pits in the next few laps, as Matty gets held up a little bit there and had an over 4-second pit stop. And you can see on the bottom right, I think he was expressing his gratitude for Fisi coming in the pits at the same time. So Matty's lost about a second and a half, and it looks like TRL MoNsTeR is not far behind either. So MoNsTeR, who's pitted early, as we saw a few laps ago, is now setting huge lap times of 1:39.9. So he's absolutely flying, and because Noble and Matty stayed out on those sort of worn tyres, they're probably hitting 41, 42. So I think MoNsTER's gained a lot of time with the undercut on those tyres. So it's going to be interesting to see if MoNsTER can go and do two stints on the option tyres and one on the primes, or if he'll be forced into 2 prime stints, because I think that's where the crucial factor is if you're being held up, it's better to pit and go on the slower compound tyre and actually pump in some laps than to be sitting behind a car for lap after lap.
Definitely, of course, if you're on those faster tyres, you've got clear air, as you were just talking about there, you are in a massive advantage because you're not stuck in traffic. You haven't got to follow a car in front, as Crookie's doing now. He got to investigate himself a little bit of a great opportunity to try and take a position from him. But on those softer tyres in clear air, that will allow you to lap at your fastest, and that's exactly what MoNsTER's doing at the moment. So, of course, now we've got Matty and Noble stuck in traffic on the slower compound tyre. They're going to have to try and sit with that, and they are sort of caught in traffic as well. So, that'll be intriguing to see how that plays out. If MoNsTER can slowly bring himself into contention, he did start in P6, so maybe he can get himself into a top 5, maybe even a podium position by the end of the race. As now on board with Noble, he comes to the pits. Now, I did hear his team radio saying he was going to option tyres, so he wants to get those prime tyres off. As SE Race makes a huge mistake on the exit of turn 16, and that was easy pickings there for xMattyG as Noble's Toro Rosso team go to work. On board with Matty as he powers down the pit straight. Will he resume the lead? Oh, it's going to be close, but he's just got the inside line. He follows Continent, and look at that, the 2 Toro Rosso cars have closed up once again. So now, is Noble going to get DRS down the backstretch using 3/4 of his curves? He doesn't get it, as now we've got Matty to the outside of Continent with DRS. By Continent back into the lead, as Crookie also gets DRS as well on Fisi to the outside, and a carbon copy move to what we've just seen. And is Fisi going to dive back up the inside? Will he force Crookie to outbrake himself? A huge lock-up from Crookie, but he holds the outside line, and that's job done for P5.
Job done for Crookie. Crookie driving very well indeed, despite having disconnected and starting at the back. He's up into P5 now. Brilliant. We've got a little camera angle here from the Continents back to Noble 299, who is losing time to his teammate, but it's going to be crucial because Noble is on the faster option super soft tyres, and so he's going to try and go around the outside now. Continent's moving to the right, so maybe even letting him through, I'm not too sure. And we've now got another camera angle of Continent, and that looks like MoNsTER's gone straight through as well. So Continent is not fighting the position at all, and Noble can now push on and get straight onto the back of his teammate, because Noble is, as I say, on the super softs. As Crookie makes a mistake, I've just given him the commentator's curse. He has been driving brilliantly, and he's now conceded the position to Fisi, who they're both on the same compound tyre, so they are fighting for the same piece of tarmac, and they're on the same strategy. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two fight out of this position, because they are battling for 7th in the championship as far as I'm aware. So this could get very heated indeed. And obviously the other championship battle that we have, because obviously Noble is quite far out in the lead, is the battle for 2nd. So we've got xMattyG and TRL MoNsTER fighting very hard for that 2nd place in the championship. Matty currently leading from his teammate Noble, and MoNsTER in 3rd. So the top 3 are the top 3 in the championship as well. So it's going to be a very intense battle.
We are at that stage where every single point counts and becomes the final few races. Of course, these two guys here, Fisi and F1 X360 F1 there's a 2-point difference in positions. At the moment, it's P4 and P5, so effectively 12 points for 4th, 10 points for 5th. As Crookie comes back up, Fisi again down the back straight towards turn 3. Huge breakers, and you're coming from 200 miles an hour down to just something like 40. And then Crookie gets himself back through once again, but Fisi going straight of Crookie's car. I was going to say HRT or Sab, we'll just call it his car, because it's you can't really tell what it is, but round the outside, that's a brave paper mache, exactly. As Fisi fan tried to make the outside pass at turn 4, Crookie comes straight back in front and says, excuse me Fisi, what the hell do you think you're doing? This is my position. Come take it from me, bro. And down towards turn 7 and 8. I'm never saying that again.
Don't quote him on that.
To turn 7 and 8. Back to standard mix 2 then for Fisi fan. Is he going to try and force Crookie wide here? That might be his plan. Force him to lock up, but no holds the line well. And look at the background. You can see the little arrow in the background. There's Ricky C in the case room. So after his earlier dramas, he's straight back onto the rear of the Norwegian here in the Marussia, and he could potentially get himself into a fight that he's not really involved in the championship. But then again, it's his race to run, so he can do what he likes.
Exactly, he can do whatever he likes. He can just dive down the inside, obviously trying to not make contact, because obviously we're still going to have to respect the rules. And we've now got Noble in second place, all over the back of his teammate. As I said, on those super soft tyres, he's got the pace, setting a 1:39.6, not the fastest lap, but I think that's because he's just sitting behind his teammate and saving some fuel. MoNsTeR is not within DRS of Noble, so these two Toro Rosso drivers really need to start pushing on now if they want to get ahead of that Sauber driver and really just completely just eliminate the threat of him and take a 1-2 for the Toro Rosso team. But it's going to be interesting to see if MoNsTeR is saving fuel himself. Obviously we don't have an onboard footage of him. We do have an onboard footage of Fisi fan now going up the inside of Crookie, using DRS too easy up the inside now. Will he be able to get it stopped for the corner? Ooh, just about, and making a little bit of contact with Crookie. Crookie in that HRT is suffering because the HRT is probably the slowest car. Despite having equal cars in this game, the HRT is about half a second slower than most of the other cars, which obviously is a hindrance for Crookie, and he probably was quite disappointed when he'd seen that he was being popped into an HRT. But he's making the most of just being in this race, to be honest, because after disconnecting, I'm sure he didn't think he'd be able to get back in.
That's very true, and of course these two, I think we're set to see this battle go all race long, as these two cannot leave each other alone. As Crookie now trying to go up the inside of turn 9. Be a brave man if he can pull it off and force Fisi wide, which indeed he does. Will he sweep around the outside this time? Fisi has to give him room. Hits the curb and Crookie runs a little wide on the exit, but he has made the move sticks. That was a classy pass there from Crookie to get into P4. But I'm pretty sure from what we already see with these two, it's not going to be done just yet. Fisi will stay close and get himself in DRS range, or keep himself within a second advantage. He's currently 3/4 of a second off, so I'm sure we'll see them pass each other and they'll live to fight another day. Meanwhile, back at the front, Matty once again finding pressure from Noble, using up the rest of his curves. He's now in the slipstream. He's going to try and move to the inside, but Matty has got enough straight line speed, it seems, to hold him off for now. Because I say for now, because they're going to come through at turns 1 and 2. Noble is well within DRS range. He's only about 0.2 of a second away. Uses half his curves across the DRS line. DRS wing is open now, and down the 200 miles an hour plus. We quickly cut away to Fisi, who will also get DRS on Crookie. So we're possibly going to see position changes for first and third and second. Here comes Fisi once again, and once more to the inside, straight past Crookie, but Crookie's again going to defend with all his life down towards turn 3. Holds the outside line, there's contact, and Crookie half spins, almost beats it on the curb. Very lucky not to end his race there and then, but I'm sure he'll be fuming inside that helmet, and the man who's benefited from all of that is Ricky C, upper place, and straight onto the rear of Fisi fan.
Oh, that's disappointing for Crookie. I'm really disappointed for him. He's driven his heart out. And Fisi now losing the back end. And Ricky's now been given another spot. So in the space of 2 corners, Ricky's gone up into 4th place. Thank you very much, he says. I'll take that very nicely. And Fisi, I'm not too sure about that incident with Crookie. I don't think it was Fisi fans' fault at all. But the fact that Crookie was able to spin off the side of his car was just odd more than anything, and it really is a shame to see, because Crookie has really been driving his heart out, and he's been driving brilliantly in a slower car. As Ricky now runs wide, and Fisi looking around the outside now, surely he's not going to be able to pull this off. He's having a look, he's having a go, but is he going to be able to stick up the inside? No. Ricky C closes the door. And Ricky, I was going to say about him a minute ago, Scott, actually, I mean, Ricky was up in the championship. He was at 3rd at one point, or maybe even 2nd, because as we get a replay, and yeah, I don't think there's anyone at fault for that, to be honest. Fisi just gets the line, bounces on the curb a little bit, which causes the car to go a little bit wide, and then Crookie just finds himself around, and we get a lovely view of Ricky going straight through him. But sorry, back to Ricky. I mean, Ricky had great pace at the start of the season, Scott, and it's no wonder that Ricky's now fighting for these sort of positions.
Yeah, he's always been pretty quick throughout the season. He's been up there, thereabouts. A couple of races prior to this, he's had off days in qualifying and not really been up as high as we expect him to be. But he's always been thereabouts on the 2nd row. The Toro Rossos have exclusively been locking out the front row, mostly with the Saubers on occasions. But Ricky is one of the top drivers in the instantly as Fisi fan drafts past Ricky C once again, and once more under brakes, huge lock up from Fisi down towards turn 3, goes a little bit, runs too deep, and Ricky's back up the inside. That was easy pickings for the catering driver. Just then we saw
Ricky broke beautifully for that. Sorry, Scott, that was a wonderful braking there. I didn't think it was going to stop and just swept in. Beautiful.
Indeed, and we saw a lovely little camera shot looking back. In fact, we've got it again now here, looking back at the rear wheel, and just see just how close Fisi gets on the exit of turn 6 through that section. End of sector 1, and now we head towards the fast sweeps of 7 and 8, a wonderful high-speed section here. Flat out, some 150 to 175 miles an hour. And now back aboard with the two Toro Rossos. Noble stayed close again through that section. We fast forwarded to lap 16, and Matty coming under some considerable pressure from teammate Noble 2909, and a lot of curb on the inside there as Noble again using his tactics to stay behind his teammate. He knows on the option tyres that he is slightly putting back and thinking, you do all the work, Matty, I'll just sit here and save some fuel, and I'll see if I can get past you at some point later on.
Yeah, I think the reason why Noble's decided to save some fuel is because MoNsTeR is really not forcing any sort of hand at the moment. He is staying in third, a good 2 seconds back from Noble, so the Toro Rosso drivers are really not feeling any pressure at the moment from TRL MoNsTeR. Maybe MoNsTeR is saving some fuel for an attack, because it looks like he's peeling into the pits now. So MoNsTeR changing onto another set of options. So wow, he's going to go 11 laps on these option tyres, which is going to be crazily, they're going to be crazily worn by the end of it, but he's going to get a massive undercut on the two Toro Rosso drivers, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they react at the front. But it depends where MoNsTeR comes out. Is he going to come out in any traffic at all? Looks like SE was just going past him as he was coming out the pits, so it's going to be interesting to see how fast MoNsTeR can go in these next few laps, Scott.
Well, indeed, and again, Fisi having some adventures on the back straight on the run to turn, like you see. Just darting out, just so that Ricky's got something to look at in his mirrors. Slightly distracted for a moment, but he seems to be distracted too much. But using the rest of his curves now on the run down towards turn 4. Ricky's going a little defensive and moving across to try and hold off the Marussia. But down on the brakes for turn 4. Ricky's got the inside line, but that's not going to stop Fisi, because you can pass around the outside here if they have the inside run for turn 5. Beautiful move there from Fisi to get that done. And now through turn 6. Fisi just that's brilliant. Just held it on the apex, but a small piece of contact just got the rear end loose there for Fisi. But somehow some lightning reactions kept the Norwegian in front.
That was a beautiful move from Fisi. Excellent stuff. I'm sure we'll see that in the end of season montage for sure. But that was brilliant from Fisi. Up into third place again. He wants that podium position more than anything. He knows that every point counts, as you said earlier, Scott. And Crookie, who is out of the running at the moment due to that incident with Fisi, is going to count a lot. 15 points for Fisi would be an amazing result for him, because you know he's had some great results in the past at Hockenheim as well, and a few other results which have really boosted his sort of 7th place chances, as that's what he's fighting for at the moment. As we've now cut to the man who's not fighting really for anything apart from first in the championship, and he's behind his teammate again. This is interesting, Scott, actually, because they've carried on. So the both of them, xMattyG and Noble, have both carried on. And MoNsTeR on those fresher tyres is going to be hounding them if they go into the pits now. So it's going to be very interesting. Noble going into lean as well, so they're hardly pushing. I think these guys are really, really sort of flirting with the devil, as it seems. As Matty now locks up on those worn tyres. Noble, is he going to go through? No, xMattyG gets on the power a little bit earlier. And Noble on lean as well, so it doesn't look like he's even trying to pressure his teammates. So maybe he is allowing his teammate, who is fighting for second in the championship, to pit in the next lap and take the fight to MoNsTeR. But I think MoNsTeR could easily jump both of them, Scott.
Well, I did see, just quickly flashed up as they went across the line, that Noble is due to be coming in for a pit stop this lap, so should be seeing him dart in those soft tyres, on super softs I should say, some 10 laps on them before, 9 laps even. So he's got 2 laps, he's will be 2 laps younger, which means he can push a little bit harder than MoNsTeR can. Because remember, MoNsTER's got to do 11 laps on them, as Matty makes a mistake. And is that going to allow Noble to try and make a move? He's right there on the gearbox of his teammate. Brakes are back to neutrals, back to lean mix 1 again, doing some more fuel saving. So he can use it. So I think he's doing this where he can push a lot harder on the option tyres that he has. Of course, and of course he'll have plenty of fuel in reserve, which means he can run rich mix 3 practically all the way to the finish. He's into rich mix 3 now, so obviously he's trying to get a bit of advantage in the final couple of corners. I'm sure we'll see Noble peel off. No, he carries on. Noble doesn't in fact pit, he carries on. Mattison's the pits now, I'm sure, for his second and final stop. And he's going on to option tyres as well. So he's done option, prime, option will be his stint. So he's sandwiched 2 option stints between a set of primes. And the pit camera there. We haven't seen that before. And away he goes, 2.9 seconds. And let's see what kind of undercut MoNsTeR was able to get. But he's just gone past now, so great work from the Sauber. But of course, Matty's tyres will be now 2 laps younger, which means he can push that a little bit harder.
Yeah, MoNsTeR just set the fastest lap of 1:38.7. So as I said, MoNsTeR pushing on very hard indeed, and he has jumped xMattyG, so he has gone into net first unless Noble can set some incredible in-lap, as Ricky's just turned an amazing amount too much to the right and just let MoNsTeR through, which is an absolute gift for MoNsTeR, because I'm sure Ricky would have easily held him up if not. So Ricky seems like he's either struggling on his tyres or just forgot where the track was for a minute, as he turned right for a lot longer than he should have, and that's gifted MoNsTeR some free air, and Matty on these fresh option tyres now, pushing very hard indeed, running wide, and he's going to have to dispatch of Ricky C as quickly as possible if he wants any chance of catching MoNsTeR, who is by no means a slacker in the F1 League, and he is extremely quick. And Noble now coming into the pits for his last stop, so it's going to be interesting to see when Noble comes out, as Ricky holding up xMattyG with the dirty air as well as a car in front of him. So this is going to be interesting to see how much he's going to hold him up, as Ricky, is he going to peel into the pits now, almost losing the car, but yes, he comes into the pits, and Matty's probably got a 3-second gap to MoNsTeR at the moment.
So also got the Marussia cut guys out in the pit lane for Fisi to make his second stop, and there actually goes Matty in front of Noble, but of course his tyres are a lap younger. Matty's are up to temperature, whereas Noble's are stone cold. Got a comparison here, Marussia versus Caterham in the pits, Fisi versus Ricky, and looks as though Fisi's got himself out in front, still ahead of Ricky, so that's great pit work, and Crookie's managed to sandwich himself in between the two of them. Looked like a small mistake there from Crookie on the exit as he got a bit of oversteer, but now we cut to the two Toro Rossos once again, and Matty, of course, his tyres are way up to temperature, but here comes Noble to the outside down towards turn 4. Is there going to be a change between the two? Matty's covering again pretty well, holding the inside line. Runs a little wide on the exit as they head now through 5 and 6 at the end of this first sector, and still Noble seems pretty content with the points he's going to get, but of course MoNsTeR is now in the lead of this race, and now it remains to be seen is just how is MoNsTeR going to look after those tyres, because we did see he's put in a 1:38 lap time, only man I believe so far in this race to do that, and of course that means he's taken a hell of a lot out of his tyres to manage to set that kind of lap time, which means that by the end of his stint on these tyres, he's going to be feeling it, and the Toro Rossos are going to effectively, he's going to be prey to both Matty and Noble. So just watch for MoNsTeR, just see how he looks after these tyres. He may back off a little bit to try and save them. A 2.7 second advantage, and I think by the race that they're going, setting personal bests, I think these two are going to be easily going to start to eat into that advantage.
Yeah, I think the plan went out the window when Matty didn't pit that lap that they both carried on, because I think that was the plan. But then Matty thought that MoNsTeR wouldn't have been able to jump them so quickly, but the pace that MoNsTeR showed was incredible, and so therefore now the Toro Rosso drivers have an absolute job on their hands if they want to be winning this race, because MoNsTeR, as xMattyG sets a 38.4, 2.1 seconds now, so the lead is coming down very quickly indeed. Matty taking a lot of curb into turn 1, but MoNsTER, it looks like he's suffering a little bit on those tyres. Noble setting an even faster lap with a 38.1, so these two Toro Rosso drivers are not giving up this victory at all. xMattyG and Noble pushing on very hard indeed now. Noble has a lot of fuel remaining, I think, so he'll be able to push on a little bit harder than his teammate, who has been leading for the majority of this race, it has to be said, before the little bit of a mistake of the strategy. But MoNsTeR, he hasn't won a race this season. No one has who hasn't sat in the Toro Rosso car, so he's going to be feeling the pressure as Noble sets another fastest first sector. So these two are absolutely pushing. It says he's 3/10 ahead of his teammate. I'm sure that's not the case, as we can see that Matty is still in front of him. But these two are pushing on extremely hard. Will MoNsTeR be able to keep his bottle and win this race?
We'll have to wait and see indeed, because MoNsTER just starting to come back to the two Toro Rossos, and we'll just catch up with him in a moment. Now back on board with Fisi as he heads down towards turn 3, a favourite passing spot for him on the run down to this corner, but Fisi's actually gone a little too deep, and will this allow Crookie to pull alongside? It doesn't, because Fisi had plenty of curves in reserve to maintain his 4th position. And he's gone to standard mix 2, so he wants to save a bit more fuel, but into turn 4 he goes. Nice smooth arc around that left-hander, the 180-degree hairpin, and then through 5 and 6 once again, and you can see just smooth movements on the wheel. That's where you want to be one of these F1 cars, just nice and smooth and precise, not huge movements, because that will just cause the car to go slow and handle as rough as anything. Into sector 3 come the top three. MoNsTER still leading by Matty, but the gap's now down since the last lap to 1.3. So these two Toro Rossos really starting to eat into MoNsTER's advantage. It's not really an advantage anymore, because they are starting just to close in hand over fist. And I'm pretty sure that MoNsTer's sitting duck despite his best efforts. I'm pretty sure we'll see these two glide by in a moment, in a matter of laps.
Just going back to Crookie, actually, I think he's driven brilliantly again, because I mean, he had that incident with Fisi and he's managed to catch up despite facing the wrong way pretty much out of turn 3. So very good driving from Crookie, and you know, it shows that he would easily have got 4th place. He may well even been up with the leaders if he'd been in the right car and been able to qualify. But yeah, that's just what ifs really. Crookie's going to have to settle for 4th or 5th. What it looks like at the moment anyway, as xMattyG makes a little bit of a mistake out of turn 3, and now Noble finally goes past his teammate. Matty's made that mistake, he's in optimal fuel, so he's not even going to be able to push on for these last 4 laps. So it's now been decided that Noble will be the one to try and challenge MoNsTer for this victory, and Matty maybe following in Noble's footsteps, but we'll see. But Noble obviously has the pace, as we've seen all race. He's been following his teammate, he's been saving the fuel. Matty now up into rich fuel mixture. He sees that Noble is, look, he's already pulling away as he is pushing extremely hard on that rich fuel mixture. So will MoNsTer be able to keep Noble behind? Because Noble is a very daunting figure in the F1 League, and if anyone sees Noble behind them, they usually fall off the track. And Matty now down into -1.
I don't think he will, because as I said, these guys have got two or three laps younger tyres than the Sauber, so I think, as I said, MoNsTer's going to be easy pickings. And also, that what happened there with Matty, I don't believe that was in any way orchestrated. I think some people will probably say, oh, that looked a bit too deliberate, a little bit too easy for Noble to get past. But remember, Noble's not really been trying to get past Matty. He's been sat in the mix 1, sat behind his teammate thinking, I'm just playing my time here, just bide my time here, just make sure I don't have to get past here. But he saw the opportunity and just took it. As surprise, surprise, the Sauber barbecue's back. So if you don't mind MoNsTer, mine's a pork chop.
Oh, we see it every race as Matty's now lost his head a little bit. He's gone out of DRS now, so I think Matty's now settling for 3rd place, and he's now praying that his teammate can just take points off MoNsTer, because obviously they are fighting for 2nd in the championship, and MoNsTer is looking like he's coming under pressure already. Noble in the DRS now. Look at that. That is unbelievable. How is Noble even still concentrating? And he's got a little bit of curse as well, so maybe he'll have a run into turn 4. No, it doesn't look like he does, because the Sauber has got excellent straight line speed, but Noble setting another fastest first sector. He is absolutely flying and showing that he is quickest around this track. I mean, he is absolutely flying, and MoNsTer doesn't look like he's got any sort of answer apart from blowing smoke in Noble's face, but that's not going to do much good, because I think Noble is going to go straight past him in a minute. And is he going to put it down to lean? No, he's not. He's going to keep it in rich, so Noble wants to get past as soon as possible. And it looks like he, well, we know that Noble's a sensible driver. I think he will wait until the next DRS zone and just fly past him.
Of course, Noble can afford to put it in rich mixture because he has been doing all that fuel saving behind teammate Matty, so he can push on a lot harder than some of the other guys can at this later stage in the race, because he was able to sit back and just fuel. So, and you saw him darting out there on the run to turn 4 just to try and cause a bit of a distraction, although to be fair, MoNsTer's trying to cause that himself with his own personal smoke screen that he's putting out the back of that Sauber. But Noble doesn't seem to be too phased as he's back into rich mix 3, and I'm pretty sure he will stay this close. He'll be in the slipstream despite the billowing smoke he's getting in his face down the pit straight. We're down towards turn 1 once again to start lap 26 and 28 into the final 3 laps of this Korean Grand Prix. And look at that, Noble closing right under braking as smoke decides to fill his helmet even more. Back with Fisi, makes a huge mistake on the exit, just stands on the anchors quick enough to stop the car from going around. As back with Noble, and here comes the championship leader. MoNsTer goes to the inside to defend, but it's not going to be enough as Noble, purely on straight line speed, gets himself past the Sauber and up into the lead for the first time here at Korea.
Great move from Noble. That's why he's the championship leader. That's why he is more than likely going to be taking his 4th consecutive F1 title, or 3rd, I can't even remember, but it's too many to count, to be honest. And Noble, yeah, just showing that he is a class above the rest, taking the lead and steaming past his teammate Matty, who's just had no answer for the last few laps and just fallen off the back of MoNsTer and Noble. And I think that Matty will have to buy Noble a drink after this, because he'll only lose 3 points if it stays like this to MoNsTer. And I've just heard in my ear that Noble has actually, well, will, if he wins this championship, have won all 4 of the F1 seasons. So that is a feat within itself, and you know, you can't really say anything bad about the driver. He is just excellent, isn't he, Scott?
Yeah, effectively, as I said, Noble is the class act in the field. Just as Matty was talking, we did see another brilliant outside pass from Crookie on Fisi down in turn 3. Despite Fisi's best efforts, he couldn't do it. And Noble, he's feeling so confident. He thinks, I'll just run wide at this corner here. It won't affect me too much. It may even give MoNsTer DRS down the pit straight. But of course, I'm sure Noble will use his MoNsTeR is still within striking distance, so the race might not be over just yet. And of course now it's Matty's turn to get a face full of smoke from the Sauber behind him. As onto the penultimate lap we go, and Noble now has the advantage. He has track position, using pretty much all of his curves in fact, to get himself out of range from MoNsTeR. And I don't think MoNsTeR will have DRS. Even if he did, he wouldn't be close enough to use it. As now we've got Fisi on the back of Crookie into Rich Mix, but he's on optimal fuel. He's going to have to watch that now. And these two, again, as we said, they've been battling all race long. They haven't been able to leave each other alone for the entire race distance so far. And once again, Fisi's in the slipstream. DRS opens now. And where you go? Which way do you go? Inside this time. Crookie can't defend. Has to give him plenty of room. Where Fisi does likewise. Back on board with Crookie. Fantastic shot here, overlooking the front right wheel and the nose of this car. And exiting turn 3 now onto this. Effectively, that's the support pits we're going past on the right hand side for any kind of national or that can take place here at the Korean International Circuit. And back on board with race leader Noble, then just maintaining the track position and race position in P1 as MoNsTeR closes under braking again. And look at that, look at the trail of smoke. You'd have thought effectively that is an actual engine blow up, you would have thought, but of course it's not. It's a known glitch, and that's just purely MoNsTER cooking some sausages in the cockpit, I'm sure.
It is indeed, and looks like, although I was just saying about Noble being an excellent driver, then running wide, so there must be some sort of commentator's curse, but Noble still in the lead, and looks like he's comfortably keeping the gap to MoNsTER, who would have got DRS, I think, in that last lap. And let's have a look and see if MoNsTER will get DRS on the last lap. How close is he? I think Noble's split times are a little bit off. 1.4 seconds. I don't think it is that far. So it's going to be interesting to see if MoNsTER can get DRS. But even so, I don't think he's close enough to have an impact on Noble's race. And we're now on board with Fisi. Losing the back end again in exactly the same place. Deja vu, and Crookie's there again. So will Crookie have DRS? He will. Well, of course he will. He's right behind him. Crookie, I don't think he'll go into turn 1 trying to go up the inside, because he'll want DRS and then to fly past Fisi. So Fisi could be in trouble here, and he'll have to maybe settle for 5th. And he's run wide as well, so Crookie's going to have an easy run out of turn 2. And once DRS is activated, Crookie surely, and who's that in the background? Is that Ricky C as well? So Ricky might even still get in the action. But Crookie, I'm expecting to see going up the inside, but it doesn't look like he's actually coming in that close. He may well be in lean fuel mixture, actually. And Fisi's lost DRS, but that doesn't really matter. And he loses the back end as well, using the rest of his curves now. Does Crookie save any of his curves for this part of the track? It doesn't look like it. So Fisi's held 4th place. I know nothing. Scott, you're going to carry on.
Absolutely. Trying to go around the outside is Crookie, but again, Fisi doing very well to hold the line through this very twisty section. Now we've got the camera shot of Ricky C looking forward at the 2 cars. We'll see exactly what he can do from this position. It's now do or die. It's now or never. Last corners. I'll let Matty lead him home in a second. But what a race it's been. Start on the front row. Let the alternate strategy work for him perfectly. And Matty, of course, is probably his closest rival of the championship, along with MoNsTER. MoNsTER will gain points in him today, because it seems as though one too many mistakes from MoNsTER has let MoNsTER through, as Ricky took advantage of that. But here comes Noble across the line.
Noble comes over the line for his God knows what victory of the season, but it's been a great drive from him. MoNsTER finishing 2nd, his teammate, Noble's teammate xMattyG in 3rd. Ricky running very wide indeed. Is he going to lose some traction now out of this corner?
He's running out of fuel.
He's running out of fuel, in fact.
You hear it spluttering. You hear it spluttering. Listen.
Oh, that's a great spot by you, Scott. Thank you very much for that. Is Crookie going to get past? I don't know how Crookie lost a position to Ricky, but surely Ricky is going to lose a position back to Crookie now. Is he now? There's going to be a run to the line. It looks like Crookie's run out of fuel as well.
Just
unbelievable, sir. Oh, what a great finish to the race that was. I don't know how Crookie ended up in 6th, but Crookie was also out of fuel. I think it looks like he actually ran out before Ricky, so God, interesting. But Noble taking the victory again, as we can see. 47 minutes and 20 seconds from TRL MoNsTER in 2nd place, 1.7 seconds back in the end. A great race from him, he started in 6th place, so a great result for him. Beating his championship rival xMattyG, who takes the final podium position 5.8 seconds back, despite leading the majority of the race. That's going to be disappointing for him. Fisi Fan beating Crookie to 4th place, and we actually have Ricky C coming in 5th as well, with Crookie unfortunately finishing in 6th, despite having a great race in that HRT starting at the back. Continents finishing in 7th. We only actually had 8 races finish, with SE Racing Team coming home in what is last place, but also 4 points, so not too bad. Ryan disconnected and actually comes home with 2 points, I think, with Trace in 10th place, also disconnecting, but he came back to give us those beautiful camera angles. iProX Callum disconnected after that incident with Jordan. He lost both of his wheels in 12th, with LC wanting to watch the race as he wasn't feeling too well, and Maisie, Randy and Big Shot all did not take part. And coming now to the Drivers' Championship, as we can see, look at that, 3 points between second and third, with Noble only, I think, 4 or so points away from taking the championship. So it looks like that's pretty much wrapped up. And we can see, is there any other battles going on between 7th place, as we said early on in the race? Fisi Fan and Crookie, only 2 points separating them, as we may well now turn to the bottom half of the table. Trace losing a position and actually level on points with Continents, and Ryan going ahead of LC after LC not taking part. So Scott, brilliant race, wasn't it? I mean, it was action-packed, there was mistakes up and down the field, but Noble came out on top.
He did indeed. He's one step closer. He's effectively got one hand on the title. So of course the next round, all he has to do is give himself a decent enough result and enough points to secure it. As for the team's championship, again, another foregone conclusion. 1 point off the magical 500 for STR. They've got a huge gap over Sauber in second. McLaren are exactly now 100 points behind Sauber with Caterham in 4th. In 5th, Marussia in 6th, and then they've got the battle between Ferrari and Force India, with the Italians winning that one over Force India Mercedes. Of course, the next round's going to be pretty key. Of course, it's India, an intriguing circuit, and I'm pretty sure there, Matty, will be seeing the champion crowned for Season 6.
We may well, unless something drastic happens to Noble, but the next race is going to be India, which promotes a lot of overtaking with one of the longest straights of the season. I hope you guys will join us on the 18th for that. Next week it'll be the Indian Grand Prix. But anyway, thank you very much for watching the Korean Grand Prix. I've been Matthew Gallagher.
And I've been Scott Woodwis.
We'll see you next week at the Buddha International Circuit. Bye bye.
Alright.